When I first took a glance at the title of the show, Gleipnir, I instantly was intrigued, because if this is your first time viewing my channel, and you have no idea kind of what I'm into, little known fact, I really love mythology, mainly Norse mythology, but all mythology I really love, and Gleipnir is actually a reference to the chains that was wrapped around Fenrir, the one that brought Ragnarok upon Norse mythology. So, if you know anything about Fenrir, Ragnarok, and all of that, Tyr's hand, what Fenrir did to him, then you might know about Gleipnir. Gleipnir is literally the chains that bound him, the dwarfs made them, and he was stuck until the day Ragnarok would begin, and Gleipnir would shatter, and then you know the rest of Norse mythology. Even if you don't know much about Norse mythology, I think many kind of understand what Ragnarok is of all things. So, when I saw the title, it caught my attention, because I'm a sucker for that type of stuff. It's one of the reasons why I really have been loving Attack on Titan's manga. I'm not gonna get too deep into that, but I really love that type of stuff. So, anyways, I watched the first episode. I will say one thing. There was many things throughout this first episode that I liked and disliked. Now, I want to get into all of it, but overall, I'm going to say that I did enjoy watching it. It was a good time. I did have fun watching Gleipnir, and I am definitely going to check out the next episode when it airs next week. But for now, let's get into the first episode and what it's about. So, this might be your first time hearing about this series, so you're probably wondering, what is Gleipnir? Is it something that interests me? Is it about Norse mythology? Well, at this time, I don't really think so. Most likely, the name is a reference to the main character, maybe what's going to happen later on in the series, but for now, it's not really grounded in Norse mythology or anything like that. From what I understand from what this series is about, it's pretty much a death game series. Now, I know when I say death game, it instantly makes many just want to turn away, or makes many interested and wants to continue watching it, because there is individuals out there that are really for this type of genre, and then there's some that just really absolutely dislike this genre as soon as, you know, a death game is mentioned to be a part of the series. So if you're one of those that do not like death games, you're probably not gonna like, you know, this show. But if you are in the middle, or if you really love them, then you might like this. But let's carry on. So besides it just being a death game, what kind of makes this slightly more unique than the other ones? Obviously, you have our main character that is somewhat of a monster. Now, he doesn't want to be a monster. He doesn't think he's a monster necessarily, but he is transforming into this weird dog-like creature that I'm assuming is going to be called Fenrir or Gleipnir, whatever it may be. It's probably going to be one of the two names that form is called. It looks like he transforms into, let's say, a outfit that's like you would see a Disney employee that's like dressing up and all that and trying to cheer on the children. That's kind of what he looks like, honestly. So, when you see his form change, it instantly lets you know that probably many of the people in this death game, or almost all of them, are going to have something very similar. They're going to be able to transform in some way to another type of creature, and so that's kind of what this series is doing, what kind of separates it from the others so far. Now, besides that, is it good? Well, it is good. It is a good first episode. Like, it does give enough to get your interest. It doesn't give you enough to let you know everything about it and say this is going to be the same old, same old. So overall, I am enjoying the first episode's premise. Now, when it comes to art and animation, this is where this episode really, you know, excels at. It honestly is one of the best parts about this series, is that the art and animation is honestly fantastic. I was pretty blown away by just the sheer quality of the art and animation for this series. I mean, just like, it's kind of crazy, honestly. I mean, I didn't think that the series would just be this well animated and, you know, be a death game of all things. It's kind of shocking, and I think many there are probably fans of the manga, because I have seen people recommend this series to me before in the past. I know Gleipnir is something that some have like, hey, Chibi, you need to, you know, read this manga. I've seen it, and I think many of those fans, or long-term fans of this series, will definitely enjoy this first episode for the sheer fact of just how beautiful the art and animation is. At least it's not looking like crap. So even if this turns out to be like a stereotypical death game anime, at the very least, it does look good. So that is definitely a major plus to this series. So that is something to really keep in mind. But okay, enough with that. Let's actually talk about the events that happen within the episode. So I want to get into the bad, and then I want to actually get into talking about the characters and their development. So one thing I noticed that I really did not like about this first episode was the sheer amount of fan service. Now, Okay, to completely clarify, I'm not 100% against fan service or anything like that, okay? I understand fan service here and there, and it's a traditional thing you would see in anime, okay? There's no problem there. But here's the thing. One of my big problems I have with fan service is that there's two ways to view it. Either A, it's something to be thrown in when the story's not taking itself too serious, but if you throw fan service in when the story's trying to be really serious, and the fan service is there just to get in the way and to fill up screen time, panel time of the manga, etc., it kind of just feels shoveled in. And I'm not the biggest fan of that, especially when you have a main female character that literally is just a cardboard cutout of just walking Jiggle. So I'm just like, yeah, it's very apparent that the fan service is really over-exaggerated within this series. I do hope that it does calm down a bit, because, I mean, as much as I do like fan service every so often, I do think this series does have something interesting going on, and it doesn't really need to rely on fan service to gain an audience. But that could be the reason why so much fan service has been thrown in, was to try to get people to actually be interested in it, because a lot of shows typically have to do stuff like that. That's why a lot of shonen series, and I start in Weekly Shonen Jump, have to throw in all the cliches they possibly can, just to be able to stick and someone actually enjoys it and it gains a fan base. You know, stuff like this actually happens, so maybe that's the case. But yeah, the fan service is definitely extreme, and pretty much all the female characters are just there for the fan service at this point. There really isn't much to their personalities, so yeah, that's just the big thing. And we even have the main female character that's following the traditional Gasai stuff, where, you know, she's like kind of crazy or a little bit unhinged in a way. So there's a lot of things to really take from the female characters. Oh yeah, one last thing before I drop the fan service topic. Why was her shirt open? That's a big question I have right now. Like, okay, we found out what she was trying to do in the building later on. We know, and it's very apparent even before you see the scene. But when you see the fan service that is added in, it just makes you start to wonder, like, was that really just fan service? And if so, that's really awful in my opinion. But if it's not just fan service, did someone put her there? You know, was someone else there before, you know, things started burning? There's so many questions you gain from that brief little scene. And, you know, honestly, just like, why? Like, why was that like that? I mean, was someone there or not? And, I don't know, it's super weird. I find it just, like, really poor in terms of writing, if that is just there to be fan service. Let's get into the MC. So overall, when it comes to a death game anime, there's two things to really consider when it comes to a main character. You either have a very overpowered main character, which is rare. It's a very rare case. Or you have a character that is just a weakling, crybaby, but he's been given a lot of opportunity to be able to succeed, and he's helped along the way with his female companion. It seems like this series is opting into more of that route. For instance, our main male character may be having a lot of power, but it does seem like he's going to be helped a lot by his female helper, you know, the co-star, and helping him along through the series. At this time, his personality, he doesn't really have much going on. The only thing that's really interesting about his character is the fact that he does seem to have impulse issues. Like, he seems to, on impulse, do things that he didn't really want to do. Example was what he did after that building was on fire, and, you know, he got the girl out of the building safely. What he did after that, I can't really say because, you know, YouTube. You know, it's very clear that he has impulse control. Besides just the fan service, there is definitely some issues, because we've seen it multiple times throughout the episode, that he would, you know, bury, you know, the dog and all that, or he would, you know, do what he did after the, you know, the burning. So it's very clear that he has those type of issues as a character. He's someone that wants to be normal. He's someone that wants to fit in, but the more he tries to fit in, the more he tries to stay within the circle, the more he continues to be forced out of that circle, or he can't really help himself, forcing his own self out of that circle. So that's kind of the character. That's thus far what we got. So, Gleipnir, is it good? Like I said, it is. It's enjoyable. It's nothing fantastic, but I mean, I know there was many from the previous season that loved Darwin's Game. I watched quite a few episodes of it myself. I still need to finish like the last 3 to 4 episodes of it, but it's a good series. I don't think it's going to be anything relatively amazing, but I could be wrong. I mean, the fan base has talked about the series for a very long time. I have heard about it through fans for a long time, so it's obvious that this series is doing something right, but the question is, where does it do it right, and how is the story going to really start to develop and, you know, be different from everything else we've seen in this oversaturated death game anime market. So, we'll see. But I love you guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, you know, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. And with that, Chibi out.